So to set the context of what we are going to cover, what I'm going to talk about here is to talk about how innovation, uh, because only Abhilash is there, I'm going to talk about the context of innovation and how it is happening in fintech companies in India. So this, when you look at innovation, it's really about customer needs. So can I present a presentation, show a presentation here?
Yes, you can.
I'm not able to share. Just yeah, I'm just presenting. Yeah. Um. So the most important aspect of any innovation is basically one of user and their needs. Now, but that's not the end of it. We realize that innovation is about an ecosystem. It just doesn't require just an user and does needs. You require the solution, the ecosystem, and the components that go into it, plus the utilities that work around it. So it is not just about what you are developing, but a whole lot of things that go around it. And each of this can be varying from commodity to research. So, for example, utilities will always be commodity, but a need can, for example, be a very established need that is very well known to everyone, or it can be a very something that is maturing now, or it can be evolving. Sometimes they are very futuristic. All innovations are not necessarily exactly about evolving or future needs. Um, these all of them have very very different characteristics. Established needs have few incumbents. They are scale and quality, and it's about efficiency and cost. Maturing needs, they have multiple players. It's about quality and reliability, and it's about this differentiation. Evolving needs, there will always be few players. They're custom made, and it's about features and usability. While future needs are about technology, prototypes, and proof of concept. Now, if you see about this, you will find something interesting that happens, and and that's where I'm going to introduce Abhilash to talk about what he does and how it is relevant. In fact, Preetham also fell into a very different spot in this one. If you look at innovators, you will discover that there are innovators who are affecting commodities. You will discover that there are innovators which are affecting standard products, but you will also find innovators who are creating absolutely new stuff. They are working on early stage proof of concept, real life pilots, and things like that. One of the panelists, Preetham, who had to leave, he works on an early stage venture. He works on a proof of concept. He's building something for the defense sector. It's just a proof of concept. It's a technology product. And he's raising money for that. I work with him as a chief innovation officer. His is very few players. There are hardly anybody in that space. There are few players globally, but he works on concepts, very early stage idea, and he is preparing a, a, a prototype right now. On the other hand, I have Abhilash here, who works in the fintech space and works with banks and insurance companies, where you will think that everything is commoditized, and his customers are all giants, very large companies, which have thousands of employees. They have huge turnover. They have huge databases. And Abhilash is disrupting here. He is doing an innovation here. He has come up with a technological solution that actually improves the life of his customer. and significantly improves their operation. So you will see that innovation can be a whole lot. It doesn't have to be that everybody who innovates creates something, a beautiful product. An innovator like Abhilash will not be known at all. No one will know about him apart from people in the industry. Abhilash will not get captured in many places in the world. He will not be written about in papers. He will not become big, a big name. He will not go on Shark Tanks. But he has a great solution. He has a great innovation, and he impacts an industry and makes things possible for them that are not currently feasible for them. This is really about innovation. What we realize when we look at innovation is that there are lots of companies like Abhilash, lots of innovators like Abhilash, who are doing things to make a difference to very established industries. These are not going to be Steve Jobs of the world or Elon Musk of the world. They will never be known very big as a big name, but they have very, very special one. But then you will also find that there are innovators who are creating new technologies. And you will find people in between, people who are entrepreneurs who are taking a great idea and commercializing it. So you will find many of them. I work with the spectrum of them. So I today wanted to bring two people who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, one a technologist and another also a technologist, but not creating a product, but making life simple for a customer. So I'm going to invite Abhilash to talk about how he is impacting the ecosystem. So he is looking at a very mature system and creating a solution that changes this industry. He has a very, very mature ecosystem, and he accesses one component of this system and makes this industry far superior. That's also innovation. And so that is the message that I want to leave behind to people, that for any innovator, it's about getting an innovation rent, which is basically the premium that they can get before everything becomes commodity. And luckily, there are, even in a commoditized space, a well established space, there are always opportunities to innovate. And I will ask Abhilash to now talk about how he has done that. So over to Abhilash, and then we will have a discussion around what we have, what this means for innovation and the ecosystem for uh, everyone across the world.
Thank you, Krishnan. Thank you for your nice words. I hope everyone are able to hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, good. So thanks everyone. Thanks, Krishnan, for this opportunity. So, Krishnan, I truly take your words in saying that in the commoditized space, there is a lot of opportunities. So, let me introduce myself. I'm Abhilash. I'm the founder of Nabhas Cloud Consulting. I'm from Chennai. So I work as a technology major, and my core expertise is on Oracle technologies. As you all know that, let's take at a typical use case for most users. Like, we are all holding a bank account, we are all holding an insurance policy, etc. But then whenever we go to a bank or an insurance system, people say systems are slow. People say that, my claims is processing, the agent is taking their time to do the work. Somehow, somewhere down the line, the systems are being used heavily, and the operational efficiency of those systems is what that counts in the user impact of the clerk in the bank or even as the end user. So I'll tell you one example where we typically get notifications from banks saying that, we have a maintenance between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. And it's mostly midnight, and most of us are not really bothered about it because we don't do business transactions. But between that 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., there is a ton of activity that is going, and the IT engineers will be in firefighting mode to do the system operations. Now, one of the operations is that, as the banking systems and insurance systems, all of them deal with money at some point. These systems now have to be regularly updated and patched over time, and they needs to be a consistent update so that they are compliant with the business regulations. Our banks are available all the time. Our insurance system needs to be available all the time, but we also need to maintain the systems to ensure that they are compliant. So both needs to go hand in hand together. So imagine a new bank which is trying to scale up. It'll go into new regions, new spaces, going to international markets. The data in those systems are also going to grow, which means the maintenance work on those systems are also going to grow, which means the operation efficiency also will need to grow. So when a new organization is small, they would be efficient enough, but as they scale, their IT infrastructure should scale and their operations should also scale. So let's talk about one activity that I mentioned about, maintenance that happened between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. Now, before I present a certain PDFs on this, I'll just explain a small use case so that I can start presenting on it. Now, I have a lot of system that needs to be updated, and I have a handful of engineers to do it. And when we take a downtime of a system, a lot of things are planned, but a lot of things can also go wrong due to human errors. And we don't give AI the authority to change such system critical systems. There's always a system where AI uses the data, but management of data will always be core IT engineers activities. Now, imagine I have about 20 systems, and I have about handful of 8 to 10 engineers who's trying to do the patching. And when an issue can go wrong, it can go wrong. It can go wrong due to a human error. It can go wrong due to any kind of a system error. But removing the human error, you need to automate all this. So my innovation is kind of automating this space where the operational efficiency helps. So I'm going to present my screen now, and I'm going to show you what this is all about. So so this is the white paper of that I'm going to present you, and the automation is called as total automation box. Now, what does it do? What does this automation do? It's completely on Oracle cloud infrastructure and other cloud systems. It's completely configurable. But what are we actually patching? So we are kind of in a conundrum where we need to do a lot of patching in the systems. So whether we develop this on the cloud or whether we develop the application on-premise data centers, patching is something that needs to be done. If you can see, the technical effort to do the patching is actually easier, but the planning for patching and letting everyone know that systems will not be available, changing the businesses to adjust to our patching timing, that is the most difficult part. And that is why large organizations go non-compliant, because they are not able to get the relevant downtime, because the system needs to be available literally 24 by 7. So what my tool does? So this tab means total automation box addresses this problem. So I started this as I got this as a use case where in one of my customers who have not patched their system for a long time, and then there's a regulatory uh, alignment saying that at this date you have to be completely aligned. And then I developed a utility, and then I realized that this is where most companies are missing, and then I improved, and more organizations are using this. Now, what are the challenges systems that we have in the traditional system of literally any bank that you see? A lot of these patching systems are a manual process. There is limited flexibility for built-in solutions. You really can't schedule. You really have to keep it so lightweight that you'll have to you cannot really automate a lot of these things. You really have to have an engineer available in your data center. There's a high risk of human error, and there is limited built-in automation, because when you go to any cloud provider, the cloud provider says that it is the customer's responsibility to do the automation. They don't do the automation. Now, as I explained earlier, a core issue with OCI means Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Patching, is that the planning is more difficult than the patching effort itself. Then what does this actually cost? It drains IT resources, it has increased delays, and we will be non-compliant. And when our auditing companies come into a scope, then we see that there are certain things that we've not met, and then it goes into a firefighting mode to ensure that we get into compliance. No, that is not the way it goes. Now let us understand how does a manual thing works before going to automate things. Now assume that my business has one large database, and I do a pre-check activity, I do a validation, and when everything is fine, I just apply. So this is like understanding that we have one system to ensure that I'm able to do it well. But what are the things what is the real life case here? The real life case is that beyond patching, there are a lot of coordinations that are there. So it is not just one part of the patching. We have something called as grid infrastructure, we have database release updates, and there is minimal downtimes, and we have to have some kind of a breather to ensure that if something goes wrong, we're able to work on this. now, now let me come to what I'm saying. This is called as TAP. It's the future of patching. The concept is basically automation. But what are we automating? We are automating systems to patch itself with a human control. we don't we don't say patch everything. We say, I would say 95% of the automation is patching up the activity, and 5% is an oversight of what you keep seeing that your systems are actually working fine. Now, at Nabas, we believe that patching should be effortless, scalable, and error-free. And then everything that happens with this are with native Oracle Cloud logging. So all the systems, everything that you do automation will be the same thing as you do manual, but with less human error. Now, this leaves with businesses with managing complex disconnected networks, and there's a lot of alignment that needs to come up. So by automating the patching, we don't just automate an IT operation, we are automating the business efficiency, because only when your IT infrastructure is available and supporting enough, you will be able to support your business. Now, let's see a use case of how this tab works. I have multiple systems. I can do multiple pre-checks at once, and I can do multiple apply at once. So which means that this 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. downtime, so many banking components that have in my system, they start at one point, they end at one point, having a more predictable outcome. And if there are issues, obviously, which we will troubleshoot, but imagine if it is done manually, it becomes a completely difficult. Now, TAB operates through a fully automated process that ensures seamless Oracle Cloud operations before deployment and after deployment. So what is before deployment? See, which means before 1 a.m., what do? We do a pre-check. What do we do a pre-check? Imagine we go into a surgery and the doctor does a pre-check, checks the BP, pulse, all the vitals of a patient before actually he does the surgery. And then he actually goes into the surgery, and then there's a post-surgery. It's kind of a similar analogy that we do to an IT system, but we kind of trying to automate it. Now, what do we do here in the pre-check? No, whatever application server automation, database server automation, automate, shutdown, startup of the services, etc. This kind of, let's call it as the phase one of the system. And then the apply phase is where we actually do the patching. All the patches happens together at once. Like, I'm going back to this slide where, where all the patches happens at once. Now, now you see here, you see multiple threads here represent means multiple systems. It's more of a visual representation of what we are doing. Now, we do a post-check phase. Now we automate validation and recovery. So whenever the patches have applied, the system actually identifies all the logs, and we have a dashboard which says that, all patches have applied, and then we are good. So what are we achieving here? We are saving time. We are saving errors. We are eliminating errors. No, we save time, we are eliminating errors, thereby we get efficiency. So again, what are the post checks? Whatever automations that we did in the pre-check, we have to undo it back in the in the automation part so that systems start working again. For example, bringing down services, bringing up services. Now I'm bringing it all together. You see, phase one, phase two, phase three, everything happens in tandem and everything will be automated. So this is the automation where is called as a maintenance automation. I have a window, but unlike our small laptops where we can just or your mobile will say let's update my mobile tonight. That's fine, but real systems are not that easy. Each system is complex on its own and it requires some oversight because we are dealing with mission critical data. Now, putting all this together at once, Tab simplifies complexity for multiple parallel environments. Now, when you solve your complexity in your IT infrastructure, it is directly proportional to your business efficiency. So now you have, multiple runbooks for your dev environment, for your UAT environment, for your production environment, even for your disaster recovery environment. You can design it the way you want. Earlier, it was not so. You can see here it's a lot of chaos here, and after we updated more of a streamlined approach. So now, how does this reduce in cost savings? A simple example. I set up a new product. I want to shut down environments when I don't use inside because everyone is setting up environments in the cloud, but you'll have to ensure that it only runs when you need them. So you can shut down cloud compute cost savings by shutting down all of them not in use and bringing up not in use. Setting up compliance reports, setting up automating backup processes, custom backup processes, automating patching. So the use cases are tremendous here. Now, this is the key features that what we see here. Speed and stability, flexibility, comprehensive logging, no additional licensing with additional Oracle Cloud. It's all everything with the default Oracle Cloud gives you. It is just giving with available minimal tools because this automation is about using a minimalistic attitude. You don't have to configure very, very expensive tools to get expensive systems. You have what you have. The greatest engineer is the one who works with minimal tools. So now then Oracle has its own automation utility, but then again it is licensed. And then you have customized product. It is another product to use. And it has its own issues. So I'm directly competing with, Oracle's own fleet management software, which Oracle uses as a product to sell and market on its own. But, there are very few takers for it. So these are the, pros and cons of several uh, issues. For example, implementation complexity, customization, operational efficiency, risk management, licensing. The total automation box covers it all.
Abhilash, I'm going to
Now,
stop you here.
yeah,
I have a couple of questions for you to
yeah.
explain to people. So maybe you can shut down the
Go ahead,
presentation.
please.
So,
Please,
so
please.
let me ask you a couple of things. Um, See, you have been in this fintech sector for long.
Yeah.
Okay, you have worked with a lot of people who use Oracle databases and things like that. So it is not something that has been new existing that you have seen, but you've come up with something that significantly improves efficiency. Uh, Am I right that a typical client of yours will not have one Oracle database, but will have so many database? Typically, tell me about if it's a bank, how many databases will they probably have? Oracle
You will
databases.
have at least about, a typical bank system will, let's say, a typical bank will have at least one really large database for their system, and then one will have multiple products. So I would say about 10 to 15 databases they should be having across, depending on the products. So if they're
And
going,
that is the complexity you're solving because each of them will have different levels of things to be fixed. And what happens if you don't do this? You said that there will be an audit problem, but it's also about regulatory challenges, right?
yeah, and see the problem is that they would anyhow do it. The fact is doing it efficiently. They will struggle. The organizations are struggling to meet the compliance demands and patching the systems. Now it is not that they will not do it. They are stretching themselves to do it. This will actually help their efficiency. so that they can focus their efforts on more important things.
Okay. So then my next question to you is that why, how did you come up across this opportunity to innovate? How is it that this got missed by most? So in this space, you have big companies. Oracle itself is doing it. You have the big IT consulting companies who all play in this space. How come that you are the one person who managed to do this innovation?
So firstly, the Oracle Cloud is kind of pretty recent. It comes in 2018, and for the first 3 4 years, there were not many takers for the Oracle Cloud itself. And then banks were kind of pretty reluctant to it. And I was lucky enough to be from the initial stage of Oracle Cloud. I've been having customers in Oracle Cloud and with my expertise. And coincidentally, I was with a customer who was just migrated and who was not really who continued his practices of non-patching and postponing the patching. Certain organizations, they defer it, saying that let's do it later, and it's an organizational gesture that they don't patch the system. And then they had a regulatory change that they got a notification saying that your systems have to be patched and all these things have to be addressed, and they got a deadline. And then I was actually forced as a consultant, say that, my customer asked me that, here is a requirement, I know we have not done this for a long time. Do what you can. So then, I started doing it, and over time, I realized that this can be automated, and I developed something that, can be repeatable. So it's more of a necessity that I had to create this, and then I see it is applying everywhere else. So all my customers actually use it now.
Okay. Uh, so, are there similarly, if you go into the fintech sector, other such, would you say that there are many such innovation opportunities to significantly improve the reliability of fintech systems?
Absolutely. So fintech is basically based on is completely relying on people's data. Now fintech, when we talk about fintech, it's on money, it's an insurance, and people trade and exchange money data everywhere. So all these systems are recognized, registered systems. It is not like some a new startup develops the banking product and people start using it. The banking product has to be authorized by the central government authority, like for example, RBI in India has to authorize that yes, this is a banking product, and then that banking product only has to be used. So when these recognized bodies have say that these systems have to be updated, you actually have to work with a little limited systems or limited tools that you have to say that these systems are really large. What works for one system does not work for another system, though they are fairly similar. So you have to understand the landscape of each and every customer's environment and define and set up the automation.
Okay. Okay, so let me we've just crossed the time limit. So let me summarize what we effectively seeing is that there is plenty of opportunity in every industry, and our ability is to see how can how can new technologies solve these problems. In a mature industry, we can still solve problems that improve reliability and cost efficiency by using technology. But there is also a lot of emerging needs that you can solve by technology. And that's where really innovation is. So, innovation is actually about not just inventing new products, but about solving customer needs that are coming up. So that's the message that I keep giving all the innovators that I work with. So there's plenty of things for you, even in an established industry, to work on. So thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Hanadi, for the opportunity to share what we are doing here. Unfortunately, one of the presenters could not join in, but this is what we wanted to share.
Thank you so much, Krishnan. Thanks so much, Hanari, for the opportunity.
Any questions, and we will be happy to answer.